important component of the research process is disseminating your research findings. Chris Whitty recently declared that research is no use at all unless it gets to the people who need to use it. So what do we want to achieve with our dissemination? Well, obviously we want to raise awareness of our research and influence change through uptake of those ideas. But unfortunately there isn't a one-size-fits-all plan to dissemination, and you need to think about who you want to reach, who's your audience. Make plans that are proportionate to the study you're undertaking, and don't forget to cost your dissemination plan. And remember, it pays to be unique. Stand out from the crowd will help you achieve goals of raising awareness, engaging, influencing change, and demonstrating impact. Now, your project will run for 3 years, so think of this as 3 years to engage with your audience, build your network, and enhance your reputation as a researcher. Be creative. Dissemination doesn't just happen at the end of the research cycle, but at each stage you can be communicating with your audience and taking them on the journey with you. So what tools do we have for dissemination? Well, traditionally, of course, there are the journal articles, posters, and conference presentations. Now, these are still vital outputs, and you need to remember to cost in open access publications into your bid. However, it's also a very long process to get published in a peer-reviewed journal, and it remains a one-way form of communication. So even if you are lucky enough to be read by many readers, you will often not get very much feedback. The internet today is now the dominant method of obtaining information, and the rise of social media has broadened the opportunities for research to direct others to their work. And as you engage online, there is a cascade and amplification effect of the information that you put out there. And the best part of it is the possibility of this two-way engagement, with people being able to ask about your research and comment on the news that you put out there. And it's a great way to get your messages across and take people on the research journey with you. But remember, once it's online, it's there forever. Now we can take a look at what you can use. Social media is an umbrella term for a wide range of networking activities, and some of them have been listed here. If we have a quick look at blogging, you can tell the story behind your research here, but it also allows for people to comment on things that you've put and to start conversations with you, and it can provide peer support. Blogging's also been known to significantly help participant recruitment and retention. If we look at microblogging, there are tweet chats, and these are opportunities for collaborations and exchange of ideas with researchers with similar interests. There's also a PhD chat that happens on a regular basis, so you can also link in with people that are at a similar stage as your research career. If we look at social networking, the most famous one, of course, is Facebook. Now, the advantage of Facebook is that everybody knows about it and knows how to use it and goes on regularly. Now, some research teams and disease groups have taken advantage of this, and they've created pages that you can join to get updates of current research. So if you as a researcher could get onto one of those pages, it would be a possibility of you engaging with people and publishing your research there. It also is quite good to build up your profile on somewhere like ResearchGate, because you can boost your credibility on that, and they've got different scores on the various networks to rate you as a researcher and how many times you've been cited, etc. Now, this is all well and good, but how do we know if it works? Well, there have been several experiments and studies done to investigate this. So let's first take a look at this simple tracking of publication downloads experiment that was done. It starts with a publication, and only those who know about it download it. So we've got about 4 downloads, and then there's no activity on this article. So the author decides to tweet about it, and suddenly we get interest in this, and there's 140 downloads of the article. Interest continues, and it's retweeted again in the next week, and then all of a sudden we can see that it's been taken up by the community and is getting retweeted. So what happens with this article? It goes from sitting on the shelf with 4 reads to over 500 within a week. So use dissemination combinations that will maximise the impact of your research and get your information out there. If we go back now and see how communication and dissemination can be incorporated throughout the project lifecycle, David Nichols and Ian Rowlands have produced these graphs to show the perceived usefulness of different social media tools. The one that I've got up here is an example of blogging, and the green outer line looks at health research. And as you can see, blogging is very useful throughout the whole of the life cycle, but particularly in research collaboration, collecting the data and disseminating the research findings. The other question on people's minds is often, okay, so I've put it out there, but is anybody that's important actually listening? Now, NIHR survey tried to address this, and it's shown that researchers using social media professionally primarily do it to follow discussions, discover papers, discover peers, post their own work, and to comment on research. So the answer is yes, your audience is ready to discover you and your work. And remember, the more influential people you connect with and know about your research findings, the more likely it will be that you can influence change in practice. So lastly, let's have a look at our goal. What do we want from all this dissemination and communication about our research ideas? Well, this is an idealized diagram of attention, and we're going from the first tweets about the research to it being shared and commented on, and the goal of this attention, of course, is for it to be picked up and featured in research highlights and to influence maybe months, years down the line, future research, practice and policy. Well, that brings us to the end of the presentation today, and any presentation touching on social media wouldn't be complete if it didn't have a cat involved in it. So do as the kitty says, start disseminating, meow.